The anti-black commentators, the anti-black podcasters are down bad. They keep trying to make it seem like they're great debaters and they're so smart, so great intellectual. But the second they step out and they face real foundational black Americans, it goes very south for them.
The price of freedom is death. We're coming to get our check.
Welcome, my brothers and my sisters. I'm your brother Afro Elite. We're going to discuss something good tonight. I got something for you. Okay, we're going to do a little victory lap. I'm happy. I hope y'all happy. Okay, it's Wednesday. It's the middle of the week. So I hope y'all happy. Happy hump day to every single last one of y'all. We're going to get into it. We got much to discuss because the anti-black podcasters, the anti-black commentators, all of this who act like they're so smart and they do great at debates, they're actually going out there and they're losing. They look like fools. And this is something that we've been saying for years, okay? We've been saying here on this channel for years. These people are not really good debaters. These people are not smart. These people make it seem like they're geniuses and they know all the history and they got all the facts. They have none of that. They have none of it, okay? They sit around in a little echo chamber and they talk amongst each other and they gas each other up and all of that stuff that they do. And then they go to children and then they have little intellectual debates with children. And then they edit it, really. A lot of that is edited and they'd be like, oh my God, look, he owned this liberal. Oh, he owned this Black Lives Matter member. Oh, and then when they actually step to adults, becomes a very, very different story. Okay, it's a very different thing when you're actually having a conversation with someone in your age group. And it's not like they're debating actual college professors or lawyers or historians or anything like that. Now, I'm telling you right now, they was debating us, Tori, and us, you, bro. If they was debating us in this room, okay, we got close to 200 people in here already. Not even 5 minutes. Me, any of y'all, Torian, all of us in here. If they was debating us, they would need to be on suicide watch. Okay, I'm not saying anything bad. I hope they don't, but I'm just saying. They would be tossing and turning. Okay, waking up from the middle of the night with nightmares. That's what they would be doing if they had to run into one of us in a debate. Their debates, it's terrible. And now they're actually trying to step it up after the situation with Charlie. They're like, you know what? We're going to get out there and honor our fallen hero, Charlie Kirk. And they're going out there and they're looking bad. I'm talking about they're down bad, man. They're down bad. But we're going to get started. So what I need you guys to do is to hit that like button. That's what I need from you all. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Make sure that you guys are subscribed and hit that notification button. Very important. All right. Now, as you guys are doing that, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be playing the copyright disclaimer to establish to YouTube that everything we play thus forth is protected under the guise of fair use. I'll be right back. Copyright disclaimer. Under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. All right. Okay, so we're going to get started. Here we go. We're going to get started with Amru Foodie, a.k.a. Myron Gaines. He thinks he's some smart debater, and he ran into this one Foundation Black American brother, and we're gonna go back and forth. We're gonna kind of analyze this quote unquote debate. All right, we're gonna fast forward because this one they kind of fast.
What'd you say?
Fast forward about right here.
Blacks. Let's run that back about the black community. What'd you say about stereotypes of black community?
Just so I'm clear. The typical stereotypes, criminals selling drugs, rap music, FUBU.
Who's the
fried chicken, watermelon?
That's funny.
Well, you said the stereotypes.
Yeah, that's so funny. All right, so you want to talk about drug dealing? I think we can.
And here's the thing with the fried chicken and watermelon stereotype. Here's the thing and I know we just getting started. I know, But here's the thing with the fried chicken and watermelon stereotype. I know it's a negative. It is a negative stereotype. Don't get me wrong, because when they say it, they're trying to dehumanize you as a black person by using those stereotypes that black people like. Because watermelon is good. Watermelon is good. Who does? I mean, watermelon is a good fruit. It's good. It's good for you and it tastes good. All right. But the way they have created the narrative around watermelon, they make it seem as if black people have almost like a animalistic desire for watermelon, like it's some type of subhuman thing, subhuman obsession with watermelon. All right. But when you actually look at it, does it make us look bad that we like watermelon? No. And I used to think about that, and the reason why I'm pausing it right here is because I used to think about that as a kid, because I used to love it, but I'm all like, man, if I ask for watermelon, it's a stereotype. I grew up knowing about the stereotypes about watermelon. And now as an adult, and this is something we got to really think about, is there a real problem with liking watermelon? Yeah, it's a stereotype that we like watermelon. It's a fruit. Yeah, okay. And even fried chicken. Who don't eat fried chicken? We the only group of people? We the only people who eat fried chicken? So we got to even look at the stereotypes. They're making stuff up to make us negative. Some of the stereotypes that they even make up of us isn't even a negative thing. Oh, black people like watermelon. Okay, that's not negative. That's like making fun of somebody for drinking a lot of water. That's literally like making fun of somebody for drinking a lot of water. Like when you actually analyze the stereotypes and the things that we quote unquote get made fun of, we realize that we don't do anything to be made fun of. They're making fun of us for doing normal things, for doing healthy things. That's what we get made fun of, which really shows their character. It really exposes their character. When they make watermelon jokes, it actually shows how dumb they are, really. But I digress. Let's get back to it.
I mentioned it a little bit earlier. Who flooded black neighborhoods with drugs? They don't have access to the port. Black people aren't on the ports. Black people are the ones bringing it in from Nicaragua or wherever the fuck. How did those drugs get in these communities?
Yeah, they were smuggled in.
By who?
Hispanics typically smuggle the drugs in.
So
right, and then blacks typically do the domestic distribution.
So we're talking about you're just saying that the CIA Contra affair, all that stuff that happened, putting crack in black neighborhoods, that was just black people, crazy.
Well, you have a choice.
See, now notice that. Myron, he first off, he wants to blame it on Hispanics. No, it was the CIA, and all of that stuff has been exposed. If you guys know about the show called Snowfall, even in the show Snowfall, they kind of loosely allude to the fact that it was the CIA who was putting the crack in the community. Okay, that's well known at this point in time. We're in 2025. Everybody knows about that, and Myron does too. Myron knows about that too. So even the stereotypes of quote unquote us doing drugs, and let me tell you, if we want to talk about stereotypes of drugs, we're not the ones who should be having that stereotype. If we really analyze who should have a drug stereotype, we are the least people who should be stereotyped when it comes to drugs, when it comes to any substances, okay? Because we don't beat the Asians at all. We don't beat the Hispanics, and we really, really don't beat the whites. So we don't beat nobody when it comes to substance abuse or substance use or distribution, all right? But we're the ones who get the stereotype. And notice he knows it was the CIA, but he doesn't want to blame the CIA because his whole narrative is the government didn't do anything wrong and our problems is all because of us. So he just you see how he started bucking his eyes. Let me zoom in a little bit. Then his eyes get to bucking after the brother says CIA. And then he goes to, well, you could have not used it though.
Drugs. They don't have access to the port. Black people aren't on the ports. Black people are the ones bringing it in from Nicaragua or wherever the fuck. How did those drugs?
Oh, he looks lost. He don't know what to say because that's true. We don't got access to the ports. We don't got we don't even have those connections. You're dealing with people who don't speak English. We wouldn't know where to go get the coca leaf to make all of that stuff. I want you guys to understand cocaine has been around in America before crack. If you guys didn't know that, white people been used cocaine. So white people had all those connections and knew how to make the ingredients and all of that stuff. White people been doing that. Did you guys know, and this is real history, did you guys know that the drink Coca-Cola used to have cocaine in it? You can Google that. You can Google that. So they already knew about that stuff way before crack, because it's still cocaine. It's just a crystallized version of cocaine. Okay. So they were already using powdered cocaine. They've been on that before it came into the black community and got crystallized. And he knows the history of that. And that's why he's looking like, oh, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. Look at his face.
He's getting these communities.
Yeah, they were smuggled in.
By who?
Hispanics typically smuggle the drugs in.
So
right, and then blacks typically do the domestic distribution.
So we're talking about you're just saying that the CIA Contra affair, all that stuff that happened, putting crack in black neighborhoods, that was just black people, crazy.
Well, you have a choice. Am I going to sell crack or am I?
No, Myron, I thought you was all about accountability. Notice the dodging of accountability when it comes to what they've done. The dodging, just no accountability whatsoever. You're not even going to say they're partly to blame. It's just we got a choice.
You're not going to sell crack. If you decide to not sell the crack, you won't go to jail. If you decide to sell the crack, you'll go to jail.
So when
the point is that there's a choice to be made, and if you make the wrong choice, then.
So when you deny a whole community access to wealth through, I don't know, redlining, when you let them access to wealth, about not giving them loans or
what's holding black people back from success now?
So history doesn't matter. It doesn't affect the present. So history doesn't affect the present. Is that what is that your framing?
Not really. Nothing's holding you back.
I'm one brother.
Okay.
I'm one brother.
Well, any black person that's here, nothing's holding any of you guys back. You guys are here, right?
So as far as like housing,
right?
So you're saying that there is still no racist housing practices, even though we have a ton of statistics to say there is. You're saying that there are no racist policing practices, even though we know
I never said that.
Oh, so okay, you never said that.
Racism exists, but it does not exist to the point where it keeps you from success. So there's always going to be racist people wherever you look. There's a lot of black people that are racist, right? I would argue blacks tend to be more racist than white sometimes, but.
Okay, and see, we got to clear this up. We got to clear that up. Okay, I'm going to let the brother respond shortly, but we got to clear that whole thing up because it's not. Notice how he tries to minimize racism to individual beliefs and experiences. This is why we use you really, when I say the word racism, I really make sure I say the term and acknowledge the fact that this is a system of white supremacy. Notice most of the time when I even say white supremacy, I always say the system of white supremacy because it's a system. All right. It's not one or two hillbillies who just don't like black people. It's not no old 80-year-old dementia having grandpa who just says the N-word sporadically. It's not that. It's a whole entire system of racism that does play into effect. And the whole, nothing's holding us back. Nothing's holding us back. Okay, well, actually, that's not true. Because if he brought up housing discrimination, how can you say that nothing's holding us back? How can you say that there is not barriers? Now, we can become successful. We can still become successful, but that does not mean that there are not obstacles, unnecessary obstacles in the way because we are black. That's the point. And I like to break these things down because it allows everybody to be informed on the better way to argue that. The way to argue is, yeah, I can still win the race, but I have extra high hurdles to jump because I'm black. Y'all don't have any hurdles, but there's hurdles and holes and sand I got to run through just because I'm black. Is it possible I can still win? Yes, but because I can still win, does that mean I should ignore all of the unnecessary obstacles and sabotaging that you guys have done while y'all taking a shortcut? No, I'm not going to ignore the fact that y'all get a shortcut and I'm jumping over hurdles and back flipping through loops of fire. I'm not going to do that. Let's continue.
Regardless, racism is no longer a viable excuse as to why you're not successful. It's just not. It's 2025.
I
would argue, as a black person, if you're not successful in 2025, you're a fucking retard. And I'll tell you why. You have far more opportunities and benefits as a colored person than as a Caucasian. We have affirmative action, DEI.
Now listen to this. Just listen to it. Listen to it.
We have all these programs in place to allow minorities to basically get a leg up on the things that you're talking about before. I agree that there were some racist atrocities before. However, we've corrected it to a point where everyone has an opportunity. I would say we've almost overcorrected.
You think we've overcorrected?
Almost,
okay.
Yes.
Okay, you think we've overcorrected. So all these programs, all these things that exist, who did DEI programs mostly benefit?
They benefit blacks and women and minorities.
White women were the number one. Black people at the bottom.
Yeah.
We are at the lower part of the table. It was white women. So don't come here and say that DEI has put black people.
I am not. Well, it's giving you guys opportunities. And obviously, yeah, white women are almost.
What opportunities?
White women spearhead every liberal movement, which again, on the white guys, you guys need to take better. You guys need to.
You see that? Do you see that? Do you see that? Bam. And I want to pause this. And I know I've been doing a lot of pausing, but I want to pause this to let you guys know all of the DEI and black people get all of these advantages through DEI and black people get so much of a handout from affirmative action. All of them know that white women are the main ones who benefit from that. All of them know that. But they're using that and they weaponize that to say that it's, a black person benefit. Okay, because when he framed it, he didn't frame it. He said blacks and women. And then the guy, he was all like, we at the bottom. We pretty much don't get nothing. It's damn near only white women who benefit from all of that stuff. And now Myron's trying to divert the subject, be all like liberal women. No. We're not doing that. Because regardless if you're a liberal white woman or a conservative white woman, you live in a white community. So your win, whether you get a job or start a business or get a grant or whatever the case may be, that is a W for the white community because they live in the white community. They take their money to the white community. They have white children. So all of this stuff benefits them. We're not going to sit up here and act like because they're liberal, it don't really count for the white community. Yes, it does. They're all in the same community and they really get along more than what we think. They get along a lot more than what they try to perceive, what they try to make it out to be. They got conservative cousins and uncles and aunties and grandparents and then the liberal kids, and they all have a happy Thanksgiving dinner together. They get along pretty well. So a win for one is a win for all, really. Okay, so we got to really acknowledge that. And watch, he tries to divert the conversation.
Put these women back in the kitchen. Because the reality is that they fucking undermine.
Listen, this is coming from a guy who is not married. I'm married 5 years. Don't listen to this.
What does have to?
Bro, your opinions on I'm just saying your opinions on women come from an uninformed place.
Really?
Yes.
How many women have you had sex with?
A lot.
Okay.
What? What grown man asks another grown man that question? Really? How many women have you had sex with? What is that's sus. Man, I don't. If another grown man asked me that question ever in my entire life, I would just look like I wouldn't even answer that. I feel uncomfortable. If a grown man asks you, like, do you have any experience with sex? I don't know. That's not a question a grown man should be asking another grown man. That's a pretty suspect question, man. I don't know about all that. I do not know about that. I wouldn't even entertain or answer that. That's weird. Okay. We went from pocket watching to bedroom watching. What is this about?
Now, how long you been married
That's
for?
provable, and I got video evidence.
Yeah. Okay. Well, don't incriminate yourself. Look, you can sit here and say, "Oh, you're not married, so therefore you can't talk on this." But the reality is that men are the ones that give relationships to women, not the other way around. So if I wanted to get married, I could easily get married.
Women can say no, right?
Well, women want relationships. Men gatekeep relationships.
Men need relationships.
No, women need relationships, actually.
Oh, okay. What's the statistics on single men, loneliness, depression? And what happens with these single men once they get into relationships? And what happens to women once they get in relationships or get married, statistically?
All right, so do you want to transition from race into marriage now, or did you want to finish
I'm
the
sorry,
race
you're the one who's talking about women. You're the one who's starting the conversation.
Well, you brought up the whole I'm married thing, and you showed your ring.
Listen, if you can't handle the debate, brother, if you can't handle, I got you. But what I'm saying
if you want to segue to that, we can. But
man, we can segue to that. I want to talk about race and the fact that historically we've been kept away from our communities.
And my counter to that,
yeah, I'm glad that they stopped that, because that whole thing, it was about to get a little weird. I will admit that because you can't get any weirder than where it started. It started from a very weird position. It started asking very weird, suspect questions. So I'm glad that they circling it right back to where it needed to be. Because I don't know what they was gonna get into with that one. Let's not even go there.
To that is simply historically does not mean now. There's nothing holding you back now.
And my counter argument to that is, then that's like saying that like what happened a few minutes ago doesn't affect our present. It does. That's the way history works. That's the way time works. We have laws. We have legislation. The reason we have a country is because of shit that happened a long time ago. True or false? The reason that we have the Constitution and the laws that still govern us today are because of legislation and things that happened. But that's the way time works.
Of course.
It's past,
what I'm saying is,
and future.
Though the things happened in the past, nothing is stopping you from working in the present to change your future.
But you're like saying, like, say there's two people running a race. You just had all these obstacles in front of one, while no obstacles in front of the other. And now you're saying, well, we're not going to have halfway through the race, no more obstacles.
You know, bro, let me just be honest. This is why nobody respects blacks, bro. Like,
now, do you see that? Do you see that? First off, that was an analogy. I didn't even remember him using that analogy. He must watch the channel. If you watch the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe, brother. Appreciate you. But notice, and that's the same thing I said about the obstacles. Yes, you can. First off, we still have obstacles. I'm not even going to frame the situation as if black people in 2025 today don't have any obstacles because we're black. We still do have obstacles. All right. The obstacles are just not downplayed. That's really it. We still do got obstacles. We still have job discrimination, housing discrimination. We still get falsely incarcerated. I mean, we still get the same obstacles. They just don't acknowledge it, pretend like it's not there, and downplay it. We still have those obstacles. And notice when he said that, and he said, well, you can't compare apples to oranges because y'all literally just took those obstacles away, which you really didn't. But even if we said you did, y'all just took it away. And you see how look at his body language. I'm gonna circle it back. Look at how he sits up, because Myron is frustrated at this point, because that argument is supposed to close things out, that y'all don't have any obstacles today. What's holding you back? And then the brother brought up a good analogy. Then Myron sits up because he's frustrated. You can tell by his body language. Let me circle it back.
We have laws. We have legislation. The reason we have a country is because of shit that happened a long time ago.
So look at his face too.
True or false? The reason that we have the Constitution and the laws that still govern us today are because of legislation and things that happened. But that's the way time works.
Of course.
It's past,
what I'm saying is,
and future.
Though the things happened in the past, nothing is stopping you from working in the present to change your future.
But you're like saying, like, say there's two people running a race. You just had all these obstacles in front of one, while no obstacles in front of the other. And now you're saying, well, we're not going to have halfway through the race, no more obstacles.
You know, bro, let me just be honest. This is why nobody respects blacks, bro. Like this mantra right here.
Now you see that he's about to go on a rant because he can't defeat the talking point. So it's, well, that's why nobody likes black people. You see that? Do you see that? Now he's getting upset because you brought up a point and your point got refuted. Then you get upset and say, well, you know what? This is why nobody likes black people. This is why nobody respects blacks. That's what he said. And that's a sign of him losing. Him getting frustrated is a sign of him losing. I'm telling you, these people are really not great debaters like that. They go to college campuses and they expect to debate children who don't have, and I'm not trying to, talk about them. I'm not trying to disparage them, but these are young, I will say respectfully, these are young adults who don't have life experience enough to debate you.
Does no one respect you?
Let me explain this. Why is that Nigerians or people from Africa or they come from the Caribbean, they come here and they make something to themselves as first generation immigrants? I'll tell you why. Because they don't have this mindset of redlining, systemic racism, reparations. They come here, even though they're black and everyone else can identify them as not being a foundationally black American. They have the same skin color. They look black. They might not necessarily be a foundationally black American, but how is it that they're able to figure it out and come here and become successful? But people that have been here for 7 generations don't even have $7 in their fucking bank account. The problem is that blacks make too many goddamn excuses for why they're failures.
Oh, my God.
And this is the issue. Too many excuses, too many fucking complaints, too much crying. It's like...
They're not. I mean, this is stuff that actually happened when we did build when we did build.
First off, let me jump on that. The whole Nigerians and all of these other immigrants, they come over here and they just figure it out. And foundational black Americans, we just can't figure it out after all of these generations. We just don't know what we do. We don't have $7 in your bank account. I'm gonna tell you right now. First off, the foundational black Americans are not down bad like they keep trying to make us seem like. Do we have obstacles? The reason why we're doing this is because we know that because of the system of white supremacy, we have obstacles just because we're black, just because of that. Because if we didn't have those obstacles, we'd be thriving more than everybody else. But we have obstacles and setbacks and sabotaging of our community only because of our blackness. All right. So we're fighting against that because we want the country and the future to be better for the next generation. But let me be 100% clear with you. We're not no down bad, super poor, super broke, don't get $7 in their pocket. No, we not that. Do we have black people who live below the poverty line? Yes, we do. We have everybody who lives below the poverty line. But most foundational, I'm talking about foundational black Americans, we don't live below the poverty line. Not most of us. Most of us is actually doing kind of cool. Most of us he make it seem like our water and our lights get shut off every other day and we only got $7 and we sitting up there heating up the noodles on a crock pot. And no, most of us, we got good jobs and we got careers. Even if we fall on hard times, we find a way to bounce back and we wind up doing okay. Okay. See, this whole narrative is as if black people live in this all foundational black Americans live in some crazy, decrepit, neglected projects. Okay. They think that foundational black Americans, we all live in like The Wire. That's what they think. We all live in this super ghetto projects. Okay. That's what they think. They think we all live in like New Jack City. That's what they think. But when you analyze it, yeah, actually, we don't live like that. We kind of cool. And when you compare what the immigrants do, okay, they do cool, but actually, they don't do no better than us. They're not coming over here doing anything better than us. They be all, I came over here and I got degrees. We got a whole bunch of degrees. And to be honest, it's foundational black Americans going to college and getting those degrees that allow it to even be possible for the Nigerian immigrants and the other African and Caribbean immigrants to come over here and get any degrees. We made it possible for any black person, for any non-white person, real talk, for any non-white person to come over here and get a degree. That's the reality. They come over here and start businesses. How do you think that happened? That's because we had to fight for the right for black people to have businesses. And because we fought for the right for us to have businesses, everybody else gets to have businesses now. So because of our fighting, everybody else by proxy has benefited from that. Everybody else has benefited from that because we have fought against segregation. Everybody else has benefited from that because we have fought for civil rights. Everybody else has benefited from that. So you guys are really following behind our footsteps. That's the truth. Foundational black Americans, we're the ones walking the path and leading the path, and everybody else is walking behind our footsteps trying to flex. That you don't have anything to flex on. You really do not have anything to flex on. I'm not even mad or hating on you. I ain't even, this ain't hating, but let's tell the truth. How you flexing when you walking in my footsteps? Make that make sense. What are you talking about? You doing a lot of woofing from the back. Don't do that, because you didn't set nothing up for me to go to your country and do anything good. You over here. So all of this woofing from the back, you need to cut that out. You need to stop all that. And then when you ask them, what are they doing that's so great? What are they doing that's so great? How are they, quote unquote, figuring it out? They not doing nothing. And I'm really trying to be as mature as possible right now, but they really not doing anything that's that grand. They're not doing nothing brand new. They're not doing anything that 100 foundational Black American brothers and sisters didn't do before them. They're not coming over here setting a new precedent, raising the bar. They're not coming over here doing that. They're coming over here and doing which is cool. I ain't hating. But they coming over here doing what we've been doing. They ain't figured nothing out. Because if they were that good at figuring stuff out, they would be in their homelands figuring that out. They would be over there from wherever their people are from, figuring that out. Clearly, they're not that good at figuring stuff out. Myron had to come to America because he could not figure out how to make it work in Sudan. That's why y'all coming over here, because we are the ones who wound up figuring it out. Foundational Black Americans are the ones who wound up making it work and figuring it out. Y'all had to come over here because we figured it out for you. That's the truth. That's the truth. And then when they do come, they do get a lot of help. But let's get back to it.
When we did build economic systems, when we did build communities where we had money, when we did build those things, they were what? Destroyed systematically, either by racist organizations or by legislation. That's something that actually happened. So what happens when you give a bunch of people who are one race, right, access to housing, access to loans, and you don't do that to another people? What do you think the generations after that would have happened?
If that racism is so bad, why is it that Black people actually did better during the Jim Crow era? They had their own businesses. They were making more money. I'll tell you why, because the nuclear family. So when Black people were the most oppressed and had the least rights and the least civil liberties, they actually did better than they do now. So again, nothing can keep you back.
You're talking about
nothing can keep you back from success besides yourself.
So you're talking about reconstruction.
Okay, let me address that talking point. Let me address that. Okay. Well, back during the civil rights movement, Black people were doing great and doing grand and all of this stuff, and Black people had more businesses, and there's truth to that. There is truth to that. A lot of that is because Black people did not have our businesses sabotaged through, redlining, and sabotage through the Highway Act, and sabotage through eminent domain. And at that time, at a certain point in time, there were things stripped from Black people over the course of many years and many generations. And then even today, the whole, well, Black people are so bad. No, there's a lot of Black businesses. Black people have businesses back then. That's true. Black people have businesses today. You can go to every pretty much major city. You can go through New York. You can go to Chicago. You can go to LA. You can go to Atlanta. You can go in Texas. You can go pretty much everywhere where Black people are. You will see Black businesses. Even if you go to places where there's not like a lot of Black people, a lot of Black people today have a lot of online businesses and do businesses online where they make stuff or they ship stuff or they have a service or whatever the case is. Like I say, foundational Black Americans, we're good at figuring stuff out. And this is what we've done. We figured it out. Okay. Now, despite the fact that we've been sabotaged, the whole, well, y'all not doing nothing good today. No, we got it. We got it. Even when it comes to Black people own houses today, like we did before. But if you want to ask the good question, the important question of why did black people have certain things, certain establishments and institutions back in the civil rights movement that we don't have today, then you would have to factor in that a lot of that stuff was sabotaged. A lot of that stuff was deliberately sabotaged by the government. But he doesn't want to go there. He wants to resort back to fatherlessness in the black community. Because when you say fatherlessness, then you say, well, it's only black people who should be blamed. There's only black people to blame. His whole thing is trying to dodge accountability, or defend accountability from white people. That's his whole thing. And as long as we know where his avenue is, where his next talking point, and I think that this brother, I think that he knows Myron, and I feel like he knows exactly Myron's talking point, because it's like a parrot. You know, the parrot, the bird that repeats things and regurgitates things. Parrots just repeat. Parrots don't actually like come up with something to say and say it and actually have thoughts and speak, not at least in English. They just repeat certain things. Myron is like a parrot. He just repeats certain things. So as long as you know what he's going to say, you know how to counter it, because he's not going to come up with anything new. All they do in their little echo chambers is repeat the same talking points. The second you know the talking points, it's over with, which is why he keeps having to change the conversation.
Right? What happened to all those successful businesses and things that were around during Jim Crow? They were destroyed, bro. They were destroyed.
And who destroyed
cousin. Our government or
what
white
government?
racists, our white racists. But that happened. You can't even lie. That's history, brother. That's history.
Again, choice and accountability.
Do you see that? Do you see that? First off, he tried to troll the government. The government, yeah. And then the dude's all like, yeah, that's the truth. You can't lie and say it wasn't the government. And then he's like, again, choice. No, don't talk about the problem, because like I said, he's a parrot and he can't think for himself. He has his masses hand up his backside, and he just regurgitates his talking points.
90s, we're just
choice
a couple. That was a little.
He probably got something else up his backside, but I digress. I'm not even going to go there. We already know what Myron does, but we don't need to go there tonight.
But to go, we're still living in the body. Okay, so what you're saying?
Because
so the people in Tulsa,
divorce the
people in Tulsa, Oklahoma, they chose for the Klan to come around. They chose for that. Is that what the fuck? You're talking about choice and responsibility, brother.
And I'm saying,
what responsibilities does the government have?
What I'm saying is, in the 60s, when they were actually successful, right? They were oppressed to the highest degree, and they were still successful. So there's no excuse with racism being reeled back to not be successful. That's what I'm saying. All these other things happened. Cool. Nobody cares. People need to pick themselves up from the bootstraps.
Maybe you need to start caring. Maybe people should start caring. Maybe we should have those conversations, because if we don't take care of what happened and how people were left, like, taken away from their access to wealth, right? If we don't deal with those things, how the fuck are we going to move forward?
Again, you can move forward because blacks have more opportunities than their white counterparts who are oppressing them for so long.
Who gets the majority of scholarships?
Well, here's the thing. There are scholarships.
Do you see that? And well, here's the thing. Anytime he say, well, here's the thing, or again, that's him trying to dodge, because he knows most scholarships go to white folk. Especially black people get a very small percentage of the scholarships that are dealt out, because after that, then you got a whole bunch of scholarships that go to Asians, that go to immigrants, that go to Hispanics, that go to LGBT, which are white people, that go to all of these people. All of the business grants and business loans, all of that none of that stuff goes to black people, Foundation Black Americans. All of this stuff, that we get a very small percentage of that. And he knows that. That's why he doesn't want to speak on it. Because he would willfully be speaking on it if he thought he was debating somebody who doesn't really know the actual data. If he was debating somebody who doesn't really know the statistics, he would actually be going back and forth and he would be pressing the issue. But because the brother alluded to him actually knowing the data of DEI and the data of the grants and all of this stuff, Myra now wants to back up off that talking point.
That are only available to black people that are not available to whites.
Who gets the majority of scholarships?
Now, could you imagine if there was a scholarship that was only available to whites that's not available to blacks? See where I'm going with this?
But why do you think
blacks
they
have
to do
opportunities that whites don't have, and they've been getting this overcorrection for a while.
But right, but we're still saying who gets the majority of loans, who gets over-policed, who gets the majority of access to wealth, who gets the majority of scholarships? It's white folk, brother.
Well, they're the majority of people. They're the majority race. So, of course, they're going to be the majority in a lot of these regards that you're speaking about.
If they're the majority race, how come black people, right? But you want to talk about black people in regards to crime, but you don't want to talk about...
Well, if they're the majority race and they get the majority scholarships and all of that stuff, what advantage do we have? Because, Myron, you just admit the fact that they have the majority of the scholarships and loans and first off, and they get a very disproportionate amount. Let's be honest. It's not like, well, their percentage, they are the majority. No, they get a disproportionate amount based off of their population size. They use the word per capita. They love the talking point per capita, but per capita, they get most of the loans. They get most of the grants. They get most of the scholarships. They get most of the set-asides and most of the bailouts per capita. Per capita, they do. It's not just their population size.
So how that crime got into those neighborhoods, or how those things, what responsibility does white America or America, the government, have as a whole for what you keep talking about responsibility? What responsibility does the government have?
Here's the problem. Blacks want to blame the government, not blame themselves. Oh, it's the government's fault. No,
he said, what responsibility does the government have? Well, here's the problem. Black people keep blaming the government. Okay. You see that? He's defeated.
Your fault for selling the drugs.
So the government has no responsibility. They have no fault, nothing bad. They didn't do anything bad. They're good. It's all gravy.
The government's always going to do dumb shit.
So we can't hold the government accountable.
Here's the thing. You can't depend on the government to save you. Like, just don't commit crimes.
You're wild. So the government, what utility does the government have?
You can't depend on the government to save you.
But okay, cool. But why are they destroying us?
They're not destroying you.
So
right now, how is the government holding you back from success right now?
I can't believe I got to do
How is
this
the government
again,
holding you back from success right now?
I
don't care about the 80s with the crack.
No, okay, we'll talk about right now. What race of people are the highest exonerated? What race of people are the highest of wrongful convictions? What race of people are statistically over-policed? Go on.
Well, who commits a disproportionate amount of violent crime in America? So yeah,
wait, I have a question. If wrongful convictions are majority of wrongful convictions are black people, and the majority of wrongful arrests, which is provable statistically, are black people, then could you assert from these statistics and look at the one where you're saying that they're committing more violent crime, right? When you're saying that one, then what does that tell you? Their communities are over-policed.
This is a minority of cases, but the majority is they're fucking guilty.
The majority of black people are not.
No. I said the majority of these people that get arrested. The majority of these people that get arrested are guilty.
A white criminal offended and a black criminal offended who have the same criminal record go before a judge. Do black people disproportionately get higher sentences?
Because they commit a disproportionate amount of crime.
No. You're not
Violent crime is drug trafficking. Violent crime is drug trafficking.
So you're saying that I see a black guy, a white guy, they did the same crime, but because your community historically. Wow, you want to bring that up historically?
Well, that could be access to lawyers. That's going to be a big one.
And so, what happens when what community has the least access to wealth? It's black people.
And whose fault is that? Black people.
If we're constantly, bro, you just admitted.
This is why nobody fucking takes black people serious, man. This is crazy.
Okay, I'm telling you, these people are not that smart. These people aren't that smart, y'all. They're really not, man. They're really not. The whole thing, and I let that whole thing play out when it comes to the crime thing. Black people are the most exonerated. Black people do face the most false arrest. Black people do. That happens today. That's not no thing in the past. That happens today. That happens right now. Okay, somewhere in this country is happening right now. Somewhere in this country right now today, as we're speaking live right now, there's a black person, quite a few, in prison right now for crimes they did not commit. And then later on, after 20, 30 years, they're going to be let go and exonerated, and then be like, oh, my bad, my fault. That happens all of the time, and we're pretty much the only ones that happen to. You don't really see stories of white men falsely incarcerated, spending 20, 30 years in prison, and then being let go. Okay, for every one you hear of them, there's 10 that happen to us. And Myron says, oh, well, most of the time they're guilty. Well, how can you say that most of the time they're guilty if we are the ones who are exonerated? Because clearly the jury thought that they were guilty until they were exonerated. So until all of the facts come out, they're not guilty. They thought that the Central Park Five was guilty until they were exonerated. So actually, you don't know. You don't know. Now, what's interesting is that he's willing to blatant the fact that, well, if you go to jail, then you're guilty. But Derek Chauvin, they say Derek Chauvin is innocent. And Derek Chauvin, who actually killed somebody on camera, didn't do anything wrong. Myron specifically has defended Derek Chauvin numerous times, several times, saying that Derek Chauvin, who was proven in a court of law, who was judged by a court of his peers, okay, by a jury of his peers, he was proven guilty. Myron says he wasn't guilty. So according to them, when you're white, you're not guilty. When you're black, you're guilty. That's how that works. And then he says, well, no, it's, and then he brought up another statistic. He was all like, well, why, if, and this is statistically verifiable, if a white person and a black person commit the same crime, there's a disproportionate sentencing. There's extra sentencing, extra jail time for the black person. And then he's like, well, it's because of the lawyers. No, that's not how crime works. No. Because you try to make it seem as if everything is even on the racial playing field. And then when we prove a statistic or a study that shows that everything isn't even, now you have an excuse and a rationale as to why it's not even. I'm gonna play a little bit more of this. Then I want to pull up some receipts on little Myron there, Myron Lanes.
I'm gonna let him go next because you have so much circular logic.
Over policing.
This was a fantastic opportunity.
Look. And this is what, and I just wanted to show you this point. When Myron starts losing, Myron starts trolling. This is how you know he lost the argument, because Myron is trolling now. What is he doing? Look at this. What is he doing? The dude wasn't even trolling or jumping, but the dude kept defeating his points. And now Myron, who's frustrated, he gets into this trolling where now he's mocking somebody.
Happens when what community has the least access to wealth? It's black people.
And whose fault is that? Black people.
If we're constantly bro, you just admitted.
This is why nobody fucking takes black people serious, man. Like, this is crazy. Like,
I'm gonna let him go next because you have so much circular logic.
Over policing.
This was a fantastic opportunity to make myself dumber. Thank you.
Dude, this is literally why everyone laughs at fucking blacks. Like, I don't know if you saw a bunch of niggas in the back are laughing at you. Like, all you got is excuses and complaints as to why you're a fucking failure.
That's a lot. He lost. Which is why he had to troll, y'all. This is why he had to troll. That's why he had to troll, everybody. Lamp should be over here. Somebody knocked my lamp over there, off to the side. It's a little dark. Yeah, that's why he had to troll. Now, what's interesting is Myron does all of this trolling, and he does this to impress his white masters. He does this to impress them. But truth be told, they make it very clear that they can't stand him. They make it very clear that they don't like his ass. And he keeps doing stuff for their approval. I mean, he goes above and beyond for their approval, but they let it be abundantly clear they don't like him. Y'all look at this. Hold on. I got the audio of this. Check this out. This is Myron. And when he goes into the Twitter spaces, which is why you don't see Myron in the Twitter spaces, when he goes into those alt-right racist Twitter spaces, they're consistently calling him the N-word. They're calling him a sand N-word, and they're calling him all of the stuff, all of the stereotypes, and letting it be abundantly clear that they do not like Myron's kind and don't appreciate Myron and do not accept Myron.
Sitting behind the fan on account, can't even stand, but you're sitting behind a fan on account, can't even stand behind what the you're saying. Help you wake up.
Help us.
Hold on, here it is.
Back. We want Myron. You're
call me a stand, you piece of. I hope you wake up.
Myron, you were in my space the other day, and I said, you know, you're doing a great job calling these Jews, but, you know, if we take this country back, we want it for white folks, and would you go home? And you said, I was born here, and I'm not going anywhere. And this is where I think the problem is with working with non-whites, is that once you think you help us, that you're just going to stay in our country. Why do you Browns think you could stay in my country?
Where no one's going to take you seriously because they're going to just think you're a kid. Remember you. That's the and you know what's also funny? I'm one of the biggest advocates for white people being able to practice and say white power, be able to maintain their relationship with white women, etc. I'm actually one of the biggest proponents of white people being able to say, hey, I want to keep my race white. I actually respect that, and I fight for their ability to say that. Then you get kids like this guy that come in and try to one of their biggest advocates that has a platform that's of the other color saying this stupid. Idiots like you make me realize, damn, I shouldn't even be defending these. Sitting behind a banana account, can't even stand behind what the you're saying. You got the nerve to talk to me when I got my real name out there, my real face out there. I'm live every day talking about actually contributing to the fight, and you got the gall to sit there and call me a sandwich, you piece of. I hope you wake up.
Myron, you were in my space the other day, and I said, you know, you're doing a.
Hey, man. I want to keep my race white. I actually respect that, and I fight for their ability to say that. Then you get kids like this guy that come in and try to one of their biggest advocates that has a platform that's of the other color saying this stupid. Idiots like you make me realize, damn, I shouldn't even be defending these.
Yeah. Oh, now you realize that, Myron. Now he realizes that. See, and this is why Myron doesn't go in those spaces anymore. He doesn't go in those spaces because they don't like him. He will get on black people, talk about how we need to stop complaining and we need to let them do what they want to do, and there is no racism and nobody thinks about race, and how we make every single thing about race. That's how he talks to us. We're the problem, really. We're the ones who make everything about race. It's not them. And then when he gets around his buddies, the one that he advocates for, he says it. And you saw how heartbroken he sounded. He says it. I'm the one who's advocating for you guys, and I'm championing you guys, and you guys call me a sand nigger, and you guys talk so much. It makes me realize, like, damn, I shouldn't even be helping you guys. He thinks that he's gonna finally be accepted. You think you got a retirement plan? You think if you help them win that you get some type of honorary membership into whiteness? That I think Myron really does think. He really does believe that if he does all of this ass kissing and boot licking and anti-black racism and talking points, and if he parrots their talking points and he gets out there championing their causes, he honestly thinks that when it's all said and done, he's gonna get like an honorary membership into whiteness. That's what he really thinks. And they're letting it be known, like, hey man, when we get this country, if this is an all-white country, your ass gotta go. He's like, what do you mean? I'm on the team. What do you mean I gotta go? What do you mean? Oh yeah, Myron has to go. They'll tell him. They'll tell him, like, no, you're not one of us. You would have to go. We don't accept you, Myron. Myron honestly thinks that he's going to get invited when it's all said and done. He does think that. Look, he's down bad. And then when he goes out there for his little debates, he's losing and resorts to trolling because he's not that smart. He's not even smart enough to know that the people he's championing for, the people he advocates for, are literally to his face. It would be one thing if this was like a leaked audio, but they're to his face calling him a sand N-word. What type of humiliating thing is that for somebody that you're out there advocating for, a community you're not a part of, that you're advocating for them to say, hey man, thanks for all of that help. Thanks for helping me. But at the end of the day, you're going to have to go. When we win, you're not welcome. Do you hear that? Listen to it again. One more time.
Sitting behind a banana account, can't even stand behind what the
Let me find out exactly what that was. Hold on.
And you were in my space the other day, and I said, you know, you're doing a great job calling these Jews, but, you know, if we take this country back, we want it for white folks, and would you go home? And you said, I was born here, and I'm not going anywhere. And this is where I think the problem is with working with non-whites, is that once you think you help us, that you're just going to stay in our country. Why do you
see that? Do you see that? He's like, hey, man, you're doing a good job, and thanks for your assistance, but when we win, you got to go. If that's not embarrassing, I don't know how you could live with yourself after that. I just don't. I don't understand how you can live with yourself after somebody said, after you help me win the battle, we're gonna deport you. Woo! I don't know how. Hey, I don't know how. It couldn't be me. That's all I'm gonna say. It couldn't be me. Can you imagine that? Them saying like, "Hey, when we get the country back, you gotta go." Damn. It couldn't be me. Lord, and you talking about foundational Black Americans? That's pathetic. That is pathetic, dude. We get to these super chats. Bruce, appreciate my brother Bruce. Bruce says, "Be one, be well, and stay safe." Thank you very much for that. I appreciate that. Sends a 20, and then he sends another one saying, "The difference is we're on code." That's true. That's true. We know better. We know how to preserve our prosperity for posterity. Yeah. Let me see. Hold on. Let me zoom in because I don't even know. Yeah, prosperity for prosperity. Yeah, flash cash. We do. We know how to do that. We know how to make a dollar stretch. We do know how to do that. We know how to do it. We know how to do it. And we do it all the time. And we've done it so well. Other people are doing it. We've done it so well. Other people are doing that. And everybody else is following us. Now we have descendant of greatness. He says, zoom in a little bit, says, what's Myron's excuse for why his country is failing and why they have to seek asylum here? Why can't they get it? Why can't they get it how they live, like how they're telling us we need to get it how we live? Okay. Why is his people not able to run their country? It's a good question. And they're the majority. Anytime you ask that, always say they're the majority. They're the majority of the people in the country. We say we're not the majority. They are the majority. So they can't use the excuse that they tell us we can't use. They don't have any excuse. My good brother Torian, he says, if I was that black man, I would have trolled him back saying, speaking of the one who was debating, I would have trolled him back saying, what's funny is that your lady cheated on you with a professional skater. That is funny. And that is true. That's true. Myron talking all that about what men need to do and how to be a real man and all of that stuff. And Myron's talking all that about black women. Myron be going in on black. Did y'all not know that? Thank you, Torian, for bringing that up. Did y'all not know that? Myron goes in on black women, in particular, foundational Black American women. Myron keeps going in on foundational Black American women, talking about how unhealthy and ugly and unattractive and masculine black women are, for him to get some type of Hispanic woman who wound up cheating on him. With a skater. This dude isn't even like no billionaire commentator or nothing like. This is an average skater. Well, not average, he's professional, but this is a skater. That's a skater. And Myron couldn't even keep his girlfriend from falling into the hands of a damn skater while he doing all of that. All these other women are so loyal. All these other women are so loyal, but they weren't loyal to him. She wasn't loyal to him. Let's get to the other super chat because then we still got something else we got to talk about. Hold on, where is it? There we go. Myron is white supremacy's court jester. That's a good one. That's a good one. And ain't he though? Ain't he? He looks sad. Now, I want to get to the next talking point. I want to get to the next thing because it was like a week or two ago, we talked about Steven Crowder. Now, Steven Crowder, he went into a barbershop full of black men and was talking about how white people have been so oppressed and subjugated in this country. And that's why there's racism, and there's racism because white people are just so fed up with black people. Now, there's some things this whole thing is like an hour something long, so we're going to definitely have to skip past a few of these things, but there's some things that I want you guys to listen to, because Steven, just like Myron, Steven is not no great, grand, super intelligent debater either. He's really not. He's really not.
get told that those stories are invalid.
No, you're not.
Yes, we do.
You're not.
I've been personally told my story was invalid.
I'll give you an example. And by the way, the only thing that keeps my heart protected from racism, by the way, the only thing that protects me from not wanting to go out and kill the person who shot Charlie Kirk, because by the way, there are 2 people on earth who know what it's like to sit in that chair. Me and him. And I just did it at SMU and had to have entire bulletproof glass and an army to go in and have conversations, right? So I'm a little bit pissed off about it. Also, people have tried to take my life many times. So I don't really have a whole lot of sympathy for anyone, white or black, saying, oh, must be, yeah. You ever have someone show up at your house? You ever have someone show up at your house when your kids are sleeping with weapons being swatted? Like, we've been living through this for a long time until you don't know what it's like. I will say this. My faith is what has protected me. My faith is what has protected my heart from becoming racist. But I've had a lot of negative interactions. That's why I'm sitting here. We'll have to edit this because just the word. By the way, if you want a relaxing vacation, stay home. Don't go to I know, but my kids love it. So I go there, okay? And I'll tell you this. You have like this magic wand thing, you run around the hotel and it opens up chests. Wow. And I'm sitting there, I'm sunken eye, and there was a black guy next to me, obviously a dad with like his daughter and his son. And I was kind of looking at him, we looked at each other in the face like, yeah, we know. This is exhausting. And I know we have a lot in common because his wife or woman is probably in the room because he's there with his kids by himself. I was too. But then we were there at the water slides. My kids are 3. And this happened not once, but about 4 or 5 times, and it happened 3 times with one black kid who was about 5 or 6. Shoved my son out of the way to get on the water slide. Okay? My son did nothing. Shoved him out of the way a second time, came back. My son's 2-3 years, it's a big deal at that point. And then at one point I look over, Mom, no, Dad. And I just go like, hey, he's being aggressive. Okay, comes back the 3rd time. And I go, hey, hold on, you have to wait in line. You know what my son said? My son said, well, Daddy, maybe he's in a real hurry. We should let him go. That was a different interaction. That kid kept doing it to every other, and it wasn't the only one. And you know why? Because I've taught my kid, hey, you're going to have people who look different from you. It doesn't matter. You treat them well. That kid wasn't. And I'm telling you, along with the empirical, anecdotally, if you have a young white person who has these interactions on a regular basis, and I'd be lying to you if I said they were uncommon, while being told they need to shut up because of systemic discrimination, you're going to create a generation of racists.
I get it.
Okay. First off, I don't buy that story. I really don't. I don't buy that story that Steven Crowder saw his little white kids get shoved several times by some black kids and he was just sitting down and not doing. I don't buy that story at all. I think that that's entirely made up. If anything, if it did happen, it happened the opposite way. I don't think that happened. Knowing Steven's right, man, hell no. That didn't. I don't buy it. I don't buy that. Okay. And he can't verify that. And if let's live in the imaginary world for 2 seconds and say it did happen, that doesn't reflect on the community at all. I want to ask you guys a question. Okay. And I want you guys to put the 100 emoji up if it happened. If it didn't happen, don't put it up. But if it does happen, if you've seen it happen, put the 100 emoji up. How many times have we been walking? Have you been walking on the sidewalk? Have you been walking in the store or walking in a hallway or something, and a white person is walking, and normally you both would kind of step to the side or kind of pivot to the side so you guys don't bump into each other, and the white person just keeps walking straight, just walking and walking and walking as if you don't exist, as if they can't see you. And now you got to pivot as the black person, you got to pivot to the side so you don't have a head-on collision in the damn hallway or in the middle of the sidewalk with a white person. And white people do rude stuff. If it's happened to you, put the 100 emoji up, because it's happened to me all the time. Okay. We're like, when we're walking and you would think like, okay, we're both going to kind of pivot to the side, and they just don't. And if you don't pivot to the side, you're going to hit them. And they have no respect for your personal space at all. And we know it's so known that they do it that there's comedians who literally make jokes about it. They literally will make jokes about the fact that they act as if they're the only people in the world. They're so rude when it comes to personal space. How many times when you're in an elevator or something like that, they don't normally, if you're in an elevator with a stranger, you get on one side of the elevator and you kind of step to the side and create a little bit of, the elevator is only so big, you create a little bit of room to the side because it's a stranger and you let the stranger have their personal space. White people don't do that. They will press the button and stand directly in the middle of an elevator and have it be awkward because now you like backed up all in the corner. You're all in the corner, not trying to like be up on a person's neck, because they're in the middle of the elevator when they can easily be on the side. There's only like 2 people in there. They could easily be on the side, but they press the button and then stand in the middle of the elevator with just no regard to your personal space at all. None. They be cutting in line and doing all this stuff. They're known for doing that. So I don't believe this story about him and, you know, the black kid just shoving them to the side time after time after time after time. And then the kid is all like, you know what, Father, I would say something about being pushed to the ground by this black person, but I just want to be peaceful and let it go. No, Stephen's not like that. And I doubt he raised his kids like that. And I doubt the whole situation happened. But I know if the apple don't fall far from the tree, that's not what his kid would be doing.
Child was poorly parented too.
Let me fast forward that a little bit. Because it's so long, we got to skip to certain parts.
Family will continue to get full health care.
Hold on.
A black mother is always told if there's a man.
Hold on. Because then this dude jumps in. I don't even know who he is, but this dude just jumps in the conversation. But I want to get to what the brother had to say, though.
Well, we were talking about Charlotte, and you said the black activist judge. Well, in Charlotte, it's not just a black activist judge. It's the DA that's black that instituted those policies. It's a black mayor. So could we at least agree, before the civil rights movement and now, do blacks have more or less institutional power?
There's been some bad and some good.
We have less institutional power, but you know what we don't have? We, as a community, we don't have the unity.
Well, here's the problem we have.
So the last thing I want to ask.
I want to ask you a question before you say the last thing.
It kind of all throws together, and I'll just let you go.
Okay, go ahead.
Why was the black community one of the fastest growing economic demographics in the country? Why were there tons of fathers in the household? Black people were becoming great role models and integrating into society naturally. And now it's substantially worse than it was before Martin Luther King.
You know why it's worse?
Yeah.
Because of
And that was, y'all was doing better before the civil rights. Black people were quote unquote doing better before the civil rights. They make it seem like black people didn't have problems before the civil rights movement. And that's just a talking point, because Myron says the same thing. That's a regurgitated talking point from a conservative think tank. But listen to what he has to say in response. Listen to what one of the black men have to say in response.
Because of the fact that, I'm going to say this openly, because I can't get into the specifics, but I work for an entity that I was flabbergasted to learn this, all right? And what we do is we provide Medicaid, right? And this is a former campaign I worked on. And I was awestruck when I would have white females that would call, and they would call on behalf of their entire family, which included the husband, right? So many people say, well, you know, the welfare queen is having more children because she gets more food stamps. Well, here's how it really works, and I can tell you this from firsthand knowledge, right? Let's say I've got a household of a wife and a husband, and I've got 4 kids. That household can earn up to $6,900, right? And here's what happens. Even if the husband is in the household, many times they're self-employed, so of course you can skew the numbers any way you want, and you and your family will continue to get full health care. A black mother is always told that if there's a man in the house, number one, then it's a no-go, okay? Look at the Section 8 Housing Authority. Now, here's what happened, and you want to know what happened, what caused
I agree with everything you're saying.
Yeah, what caused the problem in black America. What caused the problem in black America is the fact that when the father became absent in the home, right? When he became absent in the home, it left the mothers to bear the brunt. So to answer your question, do we have more influence in some areas? Perhaps, but ask yourself this: do we have more influence economically? Because if you go back and you look, prior to the civil rights movement, let me tell you something right now. You had more black carpenters and tradesmen all over the place.
Overwhelming.
Yeah, that's right. But the problem is, again, if you agree with that, then you'll agree with the fact that if it had not been for the change in the systemic dynamics, that black men would still be in the home or what have you.
Right.
And the black family would still be doing it.
Federal government policy has not been instituted to help black people ever, but really to make them dependents of the state. When they were doing just damn fine without the federal government, that you want in more people's lives.
No. Okay. I wanted to highlight that point, the point that was made. Okay. The point of the whole welfare thing, when we know most of the government assistance, most of the food stamps, most of the handouts and all of the stuff that the government does for people goes to their community, disproportionately so. It goes to their community. It's not just because they have the highest percentage, quote unquote, but it's disproportionately, they're the main beneficiaries of that. The same way they're the main beneficiaries of DEI, the same way they're the main beneficiaries of affirmative action and all of this stuff. They're always the main beneficiaries of that. Plus, there's restrictions and requirements that in order for a black person to get any type of assistance, they don't have to do. Okay, because back in the day when there was Section 8 and food stamps and stuff, you couldn't get on food stamps if you were married. As a black woman, the government wouldn't give you food stamps if you were married, but they would give a white woman food stamps even if she was married. Black families who were having our houses stripped from us, and there was jobs being taken, the factories and stuff like that being sent overseas, and our jobs being lost, and we had discrimination going on, and they said that, okay, well, we can give you Section 8, we can provide housing, but we can't provide housing not only if you're married, you can't even qualify, don't even bother qualifying for a Section 8 housing if you're married. You can only not be married. You can't even be living in the house with a man, a grown man. You can't be living in the house with a grown man if you want to get food stamps, or if you want to get Section 8, or if you want to get any type of government assistance, but white women could. White women, white families who are down bad, who are on hard times, they could still be married and still get government assistance. They could still be married and still get food stamps, Section 8, all of this stuff. And they said that a black family couldn't get anything unless it was a broken family. So they made sure, and this is the deliberate plot, because when they talk about welfare, let's talk about the whole thing. Let's talk about black people's side and white people's side. We got to talk about it all. We got to talk about it all. Okay. That's the truth. That's the reality of the situation, because it allowed them to kind of to rely on the government for hard times and then bounce back. When you make sure that the black community's households were broken, you prevent black people from really bouncing back. So you keep people dependent because you put a ceiling there for black people. You make the qualification so strenuous, you put a ceiling that prevents progress in the black community that you did not do in the white community. And the reason why they didn't do that in the white community is because they deliberately tried to set the black community back. That's the reason. And they keep using the welfare stereotypes. Oh, well, you guys chose it. You guys chose it. Well, white people chose it. So why are you not getting mad at them for choosing it? It's only black people that you guys say something about, even though they were doing it more and are doing it more today. Even though they are doing it more today. And they don't get the stereotypes, nor do they have to go through the restrictions that black people have to go through. And then, oh, well, white people were doing, black people were doing just fine. To them, if black people are breathing, they're doing just fine. No, black people were struggling because of the system of racism back then and in today. I'm going to play a little bit more of this, then we're going to fast forward.
It's almost like reparations would be the same thing.
My question to that is, why is that a problem for white America? And we were already
one country. Because we are one country, and the problems of one
still around, and they benefited and profited immensely.
All those companies
because they all. The federal government should be on the hook for some of that. But every single company that benefited from chattel slavery, all the insurance companies, all the freight companies, all of those companies that existed then, that still exist now in some name, shape, or form, they should have to pay into that because they all profited for it. Just think about this. You insure a slave. When you bought a slave, you got insurance on that slave. That insurance company made money off of that. And they built up into
what percentage of the workforce in the United States do you think were actually slaves here in this country? Because that might.
I don't know what the percentage was, but I know all the hard work. I know who did all the hard work.
No.
I know
you know what?
I know
who worked 7 days. You just said the railroads. Why aren't the Chinese immigrants asking for reparations?
Because they've already been gifted what they were going to get.
We did it full. You did it full? No, the Chinese built the railroads. The Chinese were slaves. They built the railroads.
We did that for them.
No, the Chinese were the majority of the slaves building railroads.
Now, On
They
the
didn't get
railroad.
reparations. I want it.
Well, I tell you what. Next time we'll have you a Chinese dude in here, so you can ask him that. I don't get. I'm talking about.
First off, I like that talking point. I like that talking about. Look. If next time you want to talk about, well, why don't the Chinese ask a Chinese person that? Ask a Chinese person that. Okay? Ask the Chinese person if you want to ask them why don't they get reparations. And I'm gonna tell you the answer right now. They can't get reparations because they weren't slaves. There were no Chinese slaves in this country. There was no Asian slaves, no Japanese slaves, no Chinese slaves in this country. They came voluntarily as immigrants for a job off of railroads that, first off, we were the first people building the railroads, and we were building it with them. When they were there building and expanding the railroads, there were black slaves who were doing it at the same time too, with them, alongside them. All right. So they didn't do anything by themselves, and they were paid. Black people were not paid. So they can't complain as if they were slaves. They were not slaves. They were not owned by no plantation or anything. They came and they did a job and they got paid for that job. So they can't get reparations off of work that they've done. That's a job. That's a job that they volunteered for. Now, I'm going to continue.
Can you guys deal with the straight hair?
Yeah,
actually, yeah. That's another misconception that we get all the time too.
We can cut any kind of hair, but we're talking about what black people. Hold on. We're talking about where the money's supposed to come from. It's companies that are trillion-dollar, billion-dollar companies that started in the 1600s, 1700s that are still around, and they benefited and profited immensely from that.
What if it's a company that never had slaves? Should they pay reparations?
No, not that the company had slaves, but we had companies that insured slaves. You had companies that transported slaves.
But what if it's a company that did none of it? Should they pay?
No, if they didn't have anything to do with chattel slavery, no, they shouldn't.
Neither did I.
Companies that should.
But let me say this.
But your grandfather, but if your grandfather was here in the United States, I don't know. You said you from Canada. I don't know. We not worried about it. We worry about the people.
What if your grandfather was a slave owner and mine wasn't?
My grandfather was.
What if he was? But what if he was?
Because my grandfather was a sharecropper in Plaquemine, Louisiana, in a little small town called Bayagula. So he was 2 generations removed from slavery. So I know I have a root in slavery.
Okay.
Somebody owned my great-great-grandfather.
What if I have no root in slavery?
Well, you don't own nothing. You don't owe anything. Your grandfather, if your grandfather from Canada, he wasn't down here owning slaves.
Okay, I'm just trying to. So then people who didn't owe, we don't pay reparations.
He owe money.
Here's what I'm telling you. Hold on a second. Here's what I'm telling you. If you're to go through the numbers, do we agree? If I have no connection to slavery whatsoever, that I don't owe. Me.
You don't.
We agree. Okay. So do you realize that you could take all the white people in this country, and if you're going to add up everyone where you could actually trace the lineage to slave owners or had any involvement, you would end up with maybe 2 or 3%. 2 or 3% of white people in this country.
There go them numbers. There go them numbers. There go them numbers. There go them numbers.
And he's just spitball. First off, that you would only have 2 or 3% out of all of slavery for centuries. The descendants of slave owners would only equal 2 or 3%. But let's say that. The fact of the matter, and I'm glad that the brother brought this point up because this is a good point to bring up. Slavery is not just from the slave owners. You really got to think about that. Slavery was beyond just what the slave owners did. Okay, because you did have insurance companies that benefited from slavery. We can't just look at slavery as the sole responsibility of the slave owners. You had many different corporations that benefited from slavery, even if it wasn't directly owning the slave. They still benefited from it, including the federal government. I'm going to show you guys this list real quick of some, because it's not all, it's definitely not all, but some of the companies that actually benefited, companies and organizations that directly or indirectly benefited from slavery. All right. Because it's a whole lot. And trust me, this list is short in comparison. Okay. The U.S. government, okay, used slaves to build the White House, federal buildings, and other buildings. Okay, so the U.S. government, the U.S. military. I'm trying to be quick because this is a still long list. The U.S. government, first of all, we built the White House and all of the federal buildings and stuff. The U.S. government used slaves. More information and sources verified needed. Okay, faith-based organizations like the Catholic Church, they benefited from slavery. Okay. So there's different plantations and stuff. Scrolling down, businesses associated in some way with slavery, railroads. Since you want to talk about the railroads, you have CSX Corp. They did it for Norfolk Southern. Okay. The Mobile and it's the Mobile and Gullard, okay, or Garrard, sorry, Garrard, now part of Norfolk Southern, used slaves central of Georgia. All right. And then the Union Pacific, the Union benefited from slavery. Canadian National, okay, benefited from slavery. I'm trying to be quick because there's so much stuff. Newspapers, Knight Ridder, all right, the Tribune, Media General, Advanced Publications, E.W. Scripsing Glennon, okay, partner and publisher of USA Today. So when people talk about USA Today, they were actually beneficiaries of slavery. They benefited from slavery. USA Today benefited from slavery. Consumer Goods, Brooks Brothers, okay, they made clothes for slavery, okay, for slaves. They didn't actually own slaves necessarily, or they didn't have to own slaves, but they benefited from the fact that there was slavery in the country. Tiffany's, okay, founded with cotton mills, profits from slaves working with cotton. West Point Stevens, okay, benefited the textiles needed verifications, okay, all of them. Plus, there's more banks and financial institutions, okay. Brown Brothers, Harriman, Brown, Lemon Bros owned slaves, okay. J.P. Morgan, which is Chase Bank, Chase Manhattan Bank, Ridge Bank, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, all of these. I mean, I'm talking about it's a lot. All of these banks directly or indirectly benefited from slavery. Then we get to educational institutions. You got Howard Law School, okay, endowed with money from slave owners, okay, so they benefited indirectly from slavery. Harvard University, slavery. Yale University, slavery. Pennsylvania, slavery. Columbia University, slavery. All right. Rutgers recruited and raised money from slave owning families. So it wasn't just the slave owners, but they there's companies and organizations that benefited from the slave owning wealth that was made. All right. University of Delaware, Princeton University, University of Virginia, all of this stuff, all of these people. And let me tell you something. The list is so long. This is a very short list, really. If we're going to be honest, this is a very short list of all of the country. And this is, I'm saying this to say, when we talk about how foundational Black Americans built the country, that's what we mean. Because they keep trying to relegate it to we just pick cotton in the field. No, it's way more than that. Because we can also talk about we built Wall Street. We built Wall Street. There would not be a Wall Street if it wasn't for slavery. We built Wall Street. All right. We were the first stocks and bonds and commodities and all of that stuff. We insured a lot of different stuff. They didn't bring up the insurance companies like that. They didn't bring up the hospitals. Okay, it's so much stuff. So when you talk about slavery, when we say slavery built the country, we quite literally mean slavery built the country. We're not talking about picking cotton, even though we were trading. The United States of America was trading more cotton. We were the pretty much cotton generators of the world because of slavery. So even off of that, there was so much wealth being made from cotton, which is why they were saying cotton is king. That's where that came from, because cotton was such a booming thing that they was trading it all over the world. They was trading it in Europe. They was trading it up north. So this also goes to show you that up north participated just as much as the South did. The only reason why we talk about the South is because the South is where the plantations were. The plantation, not all, because there were still some plantations up north too, but most of the plantations, the cotton plantations, tobacco plantations, the rice plantations, all of these plantations were in the South. So people talk about the South as far as slavery, but slavery was a whole countrywide thing. And everybody was benefiting. Everybody had a part to play in it, and everybody was eating off of it. And the wealth that still was generated from slavery still exists today. Wells Fargo is still a bank today. J.P. Morgan Chase is still a bank today. Bank of America is still a bank today. The White House is still up today. All of these things are still here today because of slavery. All right. So yeah, everybody got to chip in. Everybody owes some reparations. Everybody does. If we really want to go there, everybody owes some reparations. And it's important for us to know this because they keep trying to dismiss slavery and make it seem like it was one or two people who owned a plantation or two, and it wasn't no big thing. No, it was a big thing. It was the thing. There's nothing that was bigger than slavery. Slavery was the biggest thing. There was nothing that was bigger than slavery. Slavery built the whole country. All right, and let's get back to it.
Somebody did it. Somebody did.
Yeah,
and
Africans sold them into slavery.
Somebody owed.
It's still going on right now.
Somebody owed.
There are more slaves on earth right now than ever. Did you know that?
Let me ask you a question. We're not gonna really get to the heart of it. Let me ask you this. Are you aware of what's going on with McDonald's right now?
McDonald's the company?
Yeah, McDonald's the company.
I'm aware they can't get my fillet of fish right anytime I go.
Let me tell you what's really happening. I got a friend of mine who currently has 5 McDonald's locations.
If y'all want to watch the whole thing, y'all can, but for me to do a breakdown and there's still like so many minutes left, is pretty much a whole hour left. I'm not going to be able to play the whole thing. But if y'all want to go watch the whole thing, y'all can. But I got to skip past certain things, so I want to get to other parts.
2% for how
long? Let's see.
Society, Model Cities program, black businesses, Pell Grants, affirmative action. That's the same for everyone. I know a guy, well, he just died not too long ago. He had a bunch of which I don't know how they're still around. It's disgusting. But
neither do I.
It's awful. I have never had a good meal at but he had to be in certain too, because they had to displace his franchise investment, right? That's part of it, where he was like, this one place is killing me, but as long as I get this spot, when I average out the 4 spots, okay, I can turn to profits. This isn't unique to the black community. What is unique is investments from the federal government and state government into black-owned businesses to rectify it that white people don't get. So it's not enough. So what would be enough?
Because of historical injustices that have been done to impede black businesses. So it's not enough now. But what would be enough? Ask yourself, why would they do that? Why would they pay that?
What's the number?
Because conditions historically.
What's the number, right? Public Department of Education, Great Society, Model Cities program, black businesses, Pell Grants, affirmative action, DEI. It's not enough. What's the number that's enough?
Once again, just like we said about the civil rights movement,
and anytime they bring that up, and this is the thing, anytime they bring that up, you shouldn't even really, and I'm not trying to, get on them. Don't even really engage that. Don't do that. Because the Pell Grant and all of these things, DEI, that stuff don't help us. They set that up in place for it to benefit their community. That stuff benefits Steven Crowder's community, not my community. That stuff actually helps him out more than it will help me out, more than it will help you out. So we don't even need to debate that. We don't even need to argue about why there's this or why there's that and why there's this. No, because black folk ain't getting nothing that everybody else ain't getting, but there's things that everybody else is getting that we ain't getting. I'm going to fast forward.
There's a problem. You said a little thing. Can I tell you that if I had a white friend who was caught trafficking drugs, and I don't think we should be outlawed.
Say I'm going to go out and shoot you, right? When everybody asks me, because I got people who ask me, man, what did you think about this incident with Charlie Kirk? I say, you know what? People are not going to want to talk.
Okay, hold on. Let me take this back a little.
See them angry. They've never been angry. And I'm telling you, I'm looking at young men, and they're way, way more angry than I ever was.
Well, if they're that angry, why
they're getting their ass kicked.
If they're that angry, why are they only killing each other in their communities? When's the last time how many? Let's look at recently.
That's a good question. Why are they not killing black people?
No, here's the point. Because they're able to understand that these are not the problem. They're not. Listen, they're able to understand that. You know what? Perhaps I've been looking at it and I've been taught wrong. Maybe the problem lies with the person who I've been looking up to for all my guidance. Because listen, think about it. Even with the most, and let me tell you this. I'm going on record as saying this. I don't care who you are and what your political distance is. There's no justification for going out taking the life of someone. Just because you have a different opinion of mine doesn't mean I'm going to get angry enough to say I'm going to go out and shoot you, right? When everybody asks me, because I got people who ask me, man, what did you think about this incident with Charlie Kirk? I say, you know what? People are not going to want to talk about it. I say, but this here was really a situation where this kid, more than likely, wasn't angry because of what was happening in black America.
No, he wasn't. That wasn't.
He was angry because of the fact that Charlie Kirk had a different opinion about people who are homosexuals. You understand what I'm talking about? Yeah. And that was the cause that I believe in my mind personally that led him to say, you know what? This has got to be stopped because of the fact this guy is talking about someone who I love. Okay, so let's talk about that. That crime really probably could be looked at more as a crime of passion versus a political outcry for difference. You understand?
No, it's political assassination. But here's one thing we can all agree on, right? The guy who
you can't say it's a political assassination. By definition, it cannot be a political assassination because Charlie Kirk was not a political official. If Charlie Kirk was not a political official, Charlie Kirk wasn't even running for politics. It would be one thing if Charlie Kirk was on a campaign. He wasn't a political official yet, but Charlie Kirk was campaigning for a political position, or he was a former politician. Charlie Kirk was not a former politician. Charlie Kirk never ran for anything in politics, and Charlie Kirk was not a sitting politician. So what happened to him cannot be defined as a political assassination, because Charlie Kirk has a political stances. By that logic, everybody who dies is a political assassination. By that logic, because everybody has some level of a political opinion, whether they believe in politics or believe in it a little bit, no matter what it is. By that definition, everything is a political assassination. And you can't say everything is a political assassination, because in order for things to be a political assassination, they have to be involved in politics. Charlie Kirk, he might have been a donor or might have had a political platform or a business, but he wasn't a politician. So actually, it's not a political assassination. It actually isn't. And they keep trying to make it seem like he was some type of civil rights leader or something like that, like he was Kennedy. And no, it's not. No, it's not. But let's continue, because it's gonna get to a point where I really want to pause it and break it down.
Shot Charlie Kirk. Okay, his roommate, his lover, was a dude who was claiming he was transitioning to a woman. You're just fucking gay at that point.
You're just gay. Let's call it for what it is.
Right? Yeah. Can we all agree on that? It's like, he's not even a chick yet.
My question is, like, out of that tragedy, why did the next day black communities have to get threats?
They did.
Yes, they did. Southern University.
You're talking to the wrong guy, pal.
No, I'm just asking. I'm personally tied to Southern University in Baton Rouge.
Yeah.
I'm personally tied to that school.
No, you know who got the threats? Let me
Southern
explain.
University got one.
You're turning this into a race thing where I agree that it's not. But let me tell you something. Every single vigil, every single memorial, where, by the way, both black and white conservatives tried to mourn peacefully their own, desecrated, attacked, assaults, even in war.
Notice with that, that after the situation with Charlie, and we said this before on this channel, which is why I need you guys to make sure y'all hit that like button. That's what I need you guys to do, and to make sure that you guys are subscribed. Please make sure y'all do that. I know sometimes we get caught in the moment and we forget to hit the like button. Let's just pause for a second and hit that thumbs up button. Very important. But I said this before. Black people, despite they keep trying to say that the dude who murked Charlie was he liked his girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever might have been a trans. That may be the case. I don't know if it is, but it may be the case. That doesn't take from the fact that the person is white. That doesn't take from that. Okay. If the dude liked a tranny or whatever the case may be, it doesn't take from that point. That's the biggest point. And the bigger point, the biggest point is the fact that black people, foundational black Americans, were not involved. We ain't have nothing to do with it. The tranny dude that they're saying was his boyfriend, girlfriend thing wasn't black. Black people weren't even there. Black people didn't encourage him to do it. Black people didn't protect him. Nothing about that situation had anything to do with black people. Yet you saw the following effect of what happened to Charlie was that they threatened multiple HBCUs. Multiple HBCUs got threats, so much so that the HBCUs had to shut down for the protection of the students and the staff. And then when that got brought up, here comes Stephen. Well, I mean, I don't really know what to tell you. I don't really know about that. You're talking to the wrong guy, pal. Now he doesn't want to bring up the race thing because you can't justify why racists attack HBCUs. You can't justify that because black people didn't do anything to instigate. So now you're acting like you don't know. That's why he did that. Okay. Now he's talking about, well, there were vigils of Charlie Kirk that were attacked. That wasn't black people. That wasn't black people. Black people didn't go out and defame or deface any vigils, or first off, there shouldn't have been, but black people weren't around. All of these fights that were breaking out at vigils and memorials and stuff like that, those were white liberals who are attacking conservatives, okay, in their own community. That still didn't have anything to do with foundational Black Americans. Y'all fighting, y'all little inner fights and stuff like that, that didn't have nothing to do with us. We were not involved. We weren't involved with Charlie. We weren't involved after the fact, even though we were threatened with HBCUs. All of the y'all were attacked at vigils and stuff like that. I saw several videos. Foundational Black Americans weren't there. Foundational Black Americans ain't have nothing to do with nothing. We stayed completely clear of that situation. But we were the ones who were threatened. Now let's bring it back. Let's bring it back.
They let you bury your dead. And that's because of radical LGBTQAIP. That's not a race thing, but it's the same wing that's pushing reparations. So when you're linking arms with them, we need to hear you disown those people.
So here's the thing.
It's no. Yeah, but it's not a race thing. Black people didn't do it, but it's the quote unquote same wing. No, it's not. How is it the same wing? No, it's not the same wing. No, because you got some crazy LGBT white, keyword, because they're not Black. Keyword, you got some white liberal who don't like Charlie for another reason. Because Charlie, he made very disrespectful comments about a whole lot of other people. Okay, so if another group of people dislike Charlie, you can't say, well, they dislike Charlie and they're in the same wing. No, we're not in the wing as foundational Black Americans. We're not in the wing with nobody who's not us. We're on a different bird. We're not even on that bird. Y'all are on a different bird. Okay, y'all are two wings to one bird. So you're looking at it like, oh, it's a different wing. We got a completely different bird. We're not on the wings with nobody else. We're not on the wings with no crazy white liberals. We're not on that wing. We're on the Black wing. Okay. We're on the wing all by ourselves. We ain't connected with none of that stuff, nor are we responsible for any of that stuff. And it's crazy because he talks about how Black people need to hold ourselves responsible for the things that happen in our community. But then when we say, hey, all of these attacks were done by people of your community, now Black people are still responsible for the crazy behavior of your community because we're of the same wing. Nope. When Black people do something that he don't like, we all got to take accountability for it. And we all are responsible and we all got to disown it. But then when white liberals do something he don't like, Black people got to disown that too. Even if we weren't there, now we got to take accountability for stuff of his community, even though we weren't there. And no, we're not doing that.
There's a large contingent of Black America that does disown them. They don't speak for us.
Right. Absolutely.
Now, on the right, there's the Jared Taylors and the all of these different people, these super Christian nationalist dudes. I don't see nobody on the right separating themselves from him.
Well, we don't need to because Richard Spencer and David Duke voted for Biden and Harris. Sorry, David Duke endorsed Jill Stein. What I'm saying is white supremacists don't vote Republican. They vote Democrat.
Jared Taylor did. And he encouraged all of his people to.
Jared Taylor is not first off, he's not in charge of the KKK or like that. He's talking about race and IQ. And I don't know that he did vote for Donald Trump. But I do know that
people, the Patriot Front and all of them dudes subscribe to that.
There's nothing that's conservative about white supremacy. That's why they don't vote conservative. They vote Democrat. They're socialists. But the issue here that we're talking about is, again,
I'm glad he brought that up. And I wanted it to get to this point. And so much I wanted it to get to this point right here. Yes, they do. Now, it's very interesting that he says that Black people, we need to disown people who are not Black because we're a part of the same wing. When you have literal Klan rallies that still go on today, you have a whole bunch of Proud Boys and a whole bunch of open white supremacists who are super conservative, like mega conservative. And Stephen Crowder doesn't disown them. Now, you messed up, Stephen. You know you messed up, right? You know you messed up because he says, well, Black people, conservatives, they don't vote Republican. Or no, I said, look, conservatives and Republicans are not white supremacists. That remember, he said conservatives and Republicans are not white supremacists, and the white supremacists vote Democrat. So apparently, he says we don't have to disown David Duke and Richard Spencer because they vote Democrat. No, 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 no. They're still a part of your community. You don't get to allow certain people in your community or certain people count if they're Republican. No, because that's a political belief. You being Republican or Democrat, you being liberal or conservative is a political belief. That's what you believe politically. But racially, y'all are all in the same community. So yes, you do. And they never disown them at all. They won't even disown the damn Dylan Roofs of the world. They don't even make an effort to disown them. They don't. Now, what's interesting is that he says that Republicans are anti-white supremacists. Okay? All right. I'm sure you guys have seen this, though. You have leaked text messages from this organization of young Republicans that are flooded. I mean, flooded with anti-black racism. They're absolutely flooded. So all of that, well, no, conservatives aren't racist. Conservatives aren't racist. Oh, no. You got a whole bunch of young Republicans. These are registered Republicans who have text messages that's been leaked that are flooded with racism. And the person who defended him is the sitting vice president of the United States, who's also a Republican, J.D. Vance. So no, you can with this leaked messages. I'm just gonna show you guys a little bit of it. With this leaked messages, you guys cannot, because I didn't see Steven Crowder denounce these boys. Hell, the vice president of the United States hasn't even denounced them. Actually, the vice president, J.D. Vance, has supported them and defended them. Anytime stuff like this pops out, y'all always trying to downplay it and defend them. J.D. Vance defended them. I'm just show y'all some of the stuff, just a little bit. Okay. Leaders of young Republican group throughout the country worried it would happen, okay, if their Telegram, and let's be honest, a whole lot of them use Telegram because it's less likely to be leaked. Boy, were they wrong, but it's less likely to be leaked. Telegram chat ever got leaked, okay? I'm gonna just show you this part real quick. It says they refer to black people as monkeys and the watermelon people. And what did I say earlier in the live stream? Their whole thing with watermelon is it's just weird. It just shows how low IQ they are, honestly. It just really shows how they really don't make sense. Like making fun of somebody for drinking water and eating healthy, really. It really does show that. It really does. But okay. They refer to black people as monkeys, watermelon people, and mused about putting their political opponents in gas chambers. They talked about violating, we can't say that word, violating their enemies sexually, and driving them to self-deletion, okay? And lauded Republicans who they believe support slavery. Oh. Okay. And these are young registered Republicans. So what was Steven Crowder talking about? How Republicans are not white supremacists and Republicans don't do that. And the only people who are white supremacists are Democrats. Oh, yeah. What was that? What was that? You were saying? You were saying? Yeah. Don't seem right, huh? We're just going to play a little bit more of it. We're just gonna play a tad bit more. Hold on. Oh, hold on. I gotta take the image off. That's what I gotta do. Take the image off. Because there was another talk about. I'm talking about it's so much, but I already know y'all can't stand hearing his voice, and neither can I. But there's one particular point in the conversation I want us to get you.
agree with you on Charlie Kirk. It's not political. That's why I'm going. I don't think that you realize you pivoted it into a race issue and said black people were more at risk.
You just asked why we didn't separate ourselves from the
No,
extremists.
I
and I'm
said
saying, why don't y'all separate yourselves from the extremists?
Well, of course we do.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm telling you, they suck.
I haven't seen that. I personally haven't seen that.
We all do. It's never enough.
I pay attention to all that stuff.
We all do. Donald Trump did. He was still a little rich. He said, I'm not talking about white supremacists and neo-Nazis who are horrible and should be condemned totally. The media cut it out. Did you know that?
No, I didn't hear that.
Yeah. You probably heard he said there were fine people on both sides, right?
I heard that clip.
Right
but
before
that,
he goes, look, I'm not saying white supremacists or neo-Nazis who should be condemned totally, but outside of that, you had on this monument argument fine people on both sides.
And you had some very bad people in that group. But you also had people.
What percentage of commentators are black?
I don't know. I don't watch mainstream.
It's about 25%, despite being 12% of the population.
But they still working on a platform that is not controlled or ran by black people.
So
we don't. So
when you lay out responsibility.
Is Van Jones not black? Joy Reid not black?
He black.
Sonny Hostin not black?
Black, yeah.
They're allowed to express their opinion.
Is he on the Van Jones network? Is Van Jones on the Van
numbers
Jones
were dog
network?
shit. That's why she got fired.
Is
Just
he
like
on the
Jimmy Kimmel.
Van Jones network?
So now Jimmy Kimmel's numbers are bullshit, but nevertheless, though, you had a national outcry where ABC had to retract and bring it back. I mean,
Someone from the left also shot up an ABC affiliate. Someone from the left also shot up an ABC affiliate, so that was a big deal.
See, again, Steve, we can go backward and forward all day. The broader context is the fact that, you know what? There is a part of white America that needs to acknowledge the fact that, look, even if reparations is not going to happen, because we damn well know it's not, right? At least stop preventing us from moving forward. Listen, do you know?
I don't know how we are.
Do you know right now, in the venture capitalist world, 97.3% of their money, their lending, goes to actual white firms. Now, there was a movement in Georgia where these women were giving $20,000 to other women contestants because they had a small minority component over there, right? That went to court, and they said you cannot do that because it is discrimination, but nobody ever challenged the VC, okay? So you explain to me, now again, we're within our own trying to build up one another, and you turn around and say it's discrimination. See, it's funny how there's an outcry whenever we do the exact same damn thing.
You don't do the exact same thing. Crime statistics aren't the same thing.
But you're talking crime.
Because you know what I'm talking about? No, but what I'm talking about is they're young white.
Okay, now he has to. Now, because you brought up the fact that black people consistently get sabotaged, now it's going back to crime. But I want to talk about that one point. Okay. And I do have some, I gotta say it. I do have to say it. The talking point, if you heard him, he was all like, well, you know what, even though we talk about reparations and we damn sure know reparations ain't gonna happen. Whoa. Stop that. Stop. Cut that out. Stop. I wouldn't even say that we damn sure know reparations ain't gonna happen. Look, man, no, that is not what we. First off, even if you think that, you shouldn't think that. But even if you think that, don't say that publicly, okay? Because that lowers the morale for the whole movement of reparations. Now, I believe we're going to get reparations. I wouldn't even be sitting up there talking about it so much if I didn't think that we could actually get reparations. If I didn't think reparations could be obtained, I wouldn't be sitting up there harping on it and talking about it so much. But I do, because it is possible. It is something that we're going for. We've actually been close to reparations before. We just made the wrong moves. Now we're closer to reparations than we've ever been. So reparations is possible. And we got to make sure that we keep the possibility and the hope of reparations alive and the morale for the reparations movement high, at an all-time high. We got to make sure we keep doing that. So any and all of the talking points are, man, we ain't ever getting reparations, y'all. Y'all know the government don't. If the government wanted to give us reparations, then they would have gave us reparations by now. No, all of that. Stop that. Stop that. No, stop talking like that. Okay? We really got to stop this glass half empty type of attitude. Imagine we're never gonna get anything done if we approach everything with that type of attitude, with that type of disposition. We literally wouldn't have anything. We wouldn't have anything. Imagine during the civil rights movement, it was like, well, I mean, I guess we can march, but we already know we ain't ever getting civil rights, so it's just a waste of time, and we would never get anything. Imagine even back during slavery. I mean, we can run away with the Underground Railroad, but it's just a matter of time if we gonna get caught back again and slavery is gonna continue. We can fight in the Civil War, but you already know we still gonna be slaves. If we approached everything like that, we would have had nothing. We can't approach anything like that. Let me tell y'all this. In order for you to be a winner, you must think like a winner. You must believe it. You must think like a winner. You can't think like a loser and expect to win. It don't work that way. If we were all playing a game and we had a championship, and imagine the coach saying, "Hey guys, I know this is the championship and we just not going to win. The team that we're fighting is too much better than us. We're never going to win the champ. We never done it before and we're not going to do it tonight. We're not going to win the championship, but let's go out there and I guess try anyway. Let's just try to win the championship anyway." What do you expect your players to do? Do you guys remember the Titans, the movie? If you guys have seen the movie Remember the Titans with Denzel Washington, one of his lines was, "Hey, we did not come this far to lose." I can't play it because I get a copyright strike. Denzel Washington's character, he was like, "Hey, we did not come this far to lose. We all got to think like Denzel Washington." And Remember the Titans, we did not come this far to lose. No, we didn't. We absolutely did not. All it is, well, we came this far and that's cool that we made it close. No, we came this far and we got to see the whole thing through. We got the ball and we got to make it to the touchdown. We got to make it to the championship, make it to the big trophy. All right. All it is, well, I mean, we can talk about it if we want to talk about it, but we ain't going to get it. I'm going to get it. I don't know about you. I don't know about you. Maybe you don't want it. Maybe you don't want to have it or whatever the case is. I do. I want mine. And I'm going to know I'm going to get mine. Okay. All of that loser mentality, we got to stop that. Plus, that stuff, when you say it publicly, it weakens the morale of the movement. Because then they'll be all like, you see, the blacks don't even want it anymore. The blacks are telling us that they're never going to get it. So why should we even talk about it? And why should we talk about reparations when I talked to one of the blacks and one of the blacks said that they're not going to get it? So it's just a waste of time there. No, we all going to get it. And we got to get to the point where any and every time they run into a foundational Black American, we be all like, yep, we gonna get it. They need to see no doubt among the community about reparations. They need to see none at all, none, period, at all. Okay. That we need to have a complete alignment in unity as far as our belief for reparations. We do. Okay. So I just wanted to make sure I said that there. Okay, I mean, that just made sure I said that, because all of that stuff. Come on now, we ain't gonna get it. That's like cringy to me. That's kind of like, I was like, I kind of cringed a little bit with that one. I don't like that. I do not like that. And then he talks about how there are always these programs, that when we set up these programs, they always come in and they talk about how that's reverse racism and that needs to stop, and anything that they assume will benefit Black people, they claim is reverse racism, and they cut that out. They stop that. Even if it doesn't, they talk about DEI and affirmative action as if that needs to be shut down because they believe that that benefits Black people, when the data actually shows that it doesn't. The data itself shows is not even up for debate, but it shows it benefits white folk, and they still want it to get shut down, or they still use that as a talking point. They literally put things in place because they don't want to see the advancement of Black people. They cringe when they see Black people doing anything well. They hate when they see Black people doing anything well. It's not us, it's them. It's 100% them. Okay, I remember, and I'm gonna say this is a personal thing. I remember at one point in time, this was like during the George Floyd protests, where Uber Eats was having a thing because all of these companies were doing their thing to, I guess, support Black Lives Matter or whatever they were doing. They said that businesses that were Black owned, when a customer ordered from a Black owned business, the customer didn't have to pay the delivery fee. the customer would just, and it was only for like maybe a week or two. It wasn't no super long thing that was going to go on indefinitely. It was a temporary thing where if you order from like a chicken and waffle restaurant, if the chicken and waffle restaurant was a black-owned business, then you didn't have to pay for the delivery fee. Now, the driver would still be paid, the deliverer would still be paid, but they're getting paid from Uber Eats. They're not getting paid from you. Now, you can tip them if you want to, but you know, you don't have to pay that. And that was there to be an incentive for more people to shop at black-owned businesses because it's cheaper because you don't have to pay for the delivery. All you got to do is pay for the food. So more people would start buying black-owned or ordering from black-owned businesses with Uber Eats. Do you know there was a ton of lawsuits at the time? There was I'm talking about, it was so many lawsuits. It was going on left and right. It was so many conservatives like, oh, no, why only black-owned businesses? Oh, that's racist. I swear, they screamed from the mountaintops that Uber Eats was racist for doing that. And that was reverse racism. They screamed from the mountaintops to shut that down, so much so that Uber Eats had to shut it down and come out with an apology for discrimination, for doing something that they were only going to do for a couple weeks anyway. It was only really going to do something for a couple weeks anyway. That was going to be a little help for some black-owned businesses. And Uber Eats, within a matter of a couple of days, had to shut it down because these people are like, no, that's not fair. That's not fair. That's not fair. So that's what I'm saying. Anything that could possibly be done to help black people, they shut it down. Anything at all. Mind you, I also want to add this. A lot of the people who was complaining about it were Hispanic. Just keep that in mind. It was mostly white folk, but it was a lot of Hispanics. A lot of Hispanics was all like, what about the brown? What about the brown? What about black and brown? I get racist. I face racism too. I get discriminated too. It was a lot of Hispanics who was making it known that they didn't like that either. There goes your black and brown unity. There goes that black and brown coalition thing. It was a lot of Hispanics who made it abundantly clear that they didn't support that either. Just to keep that in mind. All right. There goes that black and brown unity they always talking about. But I'm letting it be known that all of the stuff, anything we do that they think will advance us, they'll shut it down. So in this circles everything back to, well, what Uber Eats should have done to get away from that. And they still would have had complaints, but they wouldn't have had to shut it down. All they had to do is say, you know what? We're not going to do something for black-owned businesses. We're just going to do something for foundational black American businesses. Okay? We're just going to do something for that. For foundational black American businesses. See, if Uber Eats would have kept the situation or kept that, I guess, promo, whatever they call it, if they would have kept that lineage-based, they would have been able to do it. They wouldn't have been able to be faced with so many lawsuits, anti-discrimination lawsuits, because it's not a race-based thing. It's not a race-based benefit. Okay? It's a lineage-based thing. They're looking out for a particular lineage of people. All right? So they would have been able to do that. So all of the shutting down of different programs and stuff like that, that's because they keep doing stuff based off of race, and the dominant society knows the second you say black in legislation, here comes a lawsuit, because they'll say it's unconstitutional and they can get it canned. They can get it shut down. So the answer to all of those problems is to make it lineage based. That's the answer to everything. And to be totally honest, it's not going to make that much of a difference making it race-based or lineage-based, because most people, black people here, are foundational black American anyway. So we're the ones who are going to benefit from it. Now, there's going to be, let's be honest, there's going to be some Africans and Caribbeans who are going to get left out of a certain legislation and policies and stuff. But hey, it is what it is. It's okay. They'll be okay. They'll be okay. They'll be okay. It's not about them no more. It's not about them right now. It's about us. It's about us. Okay. We got a thing where we want everybody to be included. Look, it's about us. It's about us right now. Don't worry about, don't even ask about them. Stop asking about them. Okay. Focus on us. It's our time. Okay. You looking off to the side. Don't look off to the side. Don't look, keep your eyes to yourself. Close your eyes if you got to. Close your eyes, plug your ears, just say la 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 la. Stop doing that. Don't pay attention to nobody else right now. It's Foundation Black American time. Okay. It's our time for us to be focused on. All right. Don't even look over there. They good. They straight. That's what we got to do. And if we do that, everything is going to start working out. If we do that, everything is going to start falling in place the way it's supposed to be. Then we're going to have policies and barriers that's been put forth for our impediment, that's been put forth to make sure that we don't succeed. All of that stuff is going to get knocked down. All of that stuff is going to start falling over. The second we start doing things the right way, the second we start strategizing the right way and implementing policies the right way, all of these little barriers and obstacles and loopholes and sabotaging booby traps, all of that stuff is going to go away. All of it's going to go away. We just got to make sure we do everything from now on the right way. Okay? If they're attacking things based off of race, if they say, well, that's racist, that's reverse racism, all right, then just take the word black out, okay? Because then they'll say, well, you can't do anything for race. Black people are a race of people. Okay, cool. Then just put foundational Black American there. They can't say that's reverse racism because it's not about race. Foundational Black American is not a race. We're a lineage. Okay, the Constitution doesn't say that you can't do anything for a lineage of people. Okay, you can't make any policy specifically for a lineage of people. The Constitution doesn't say that. Okay, so cool. We're just going to do things smarter now. And the second we do things smarter, we're going to get win after win after win after win. I'm telling you, we're going to be undefeatable. It's going to be win after win after win after win. That's all we got to do. That's all we got to do. That's the way we get ahead, y'all. That's the way we get ahead. And we're already winning because enough of us is already on that page. Enough of us is already doing that. Let me get to some of these other super chats because we got some super chats and we got some cash apps too. I want to acknowledge. Let's get to the cultural superpower sends a super sticker. Thank you very much for that. Appreciate you. Mother Tree Moon says Myra needs a man, a white one. It says, sir, stay blessed. Thank you. Sir, stay stressed. Yeah, let's be honest. He do. And that's the thing. We already know what type of men Myron like, but the thing is that Myron's type doesn't like him. That's Myron's problem. Myron has a type. Myron knows who he likes, but the thing is that it don't matter who you like if that person doesn't like you. But Myron's type doesn't like him. They say that the second he wins, you got to get out the country. Poor little Tink Tink. Shout out to our beloved sister April. She says the U.S. government owes FBA, and they're going to have to pay. They are. Cut the check, and stop playing. Yeah, might as well. You're prolonging the inevitable because we're gonna get it. We're gonna get it. All of this prolonging the inevitable, you're just wasting time. You're really just wasting time because it's not like we're gonna stop. You can already tell we're not gonna stop. You can't find a way to stop it from happening. You can't stop the movement. So you might as well just say, hey, you know what? We lost. Here you go. You might as well do that. Save yourself and us some time. Yamiya says, Afro, how can I get one of those chains? Oh, these are this chain is kind of fly. It's been custom made. I know somebody who makes them. There actually is though a sister on TikTok. I gotta get her information. She makes custom jewelry. Good stuff. Good stuff. Good. She's a foundational Black American sister. I got she's on TikTok. I forgot her thing. I don't have her website pulled up, but she makes a lot of good stuff. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna find it and then I'm gonna put it in the community tab, in the YouTube community tab, so you guys can go over there because it goes by request. So you guys got to go there and then you guys got to make your request and then send that to her and then she's gonna make it and ship it to you. Okay, so it goes like that. So yeah. I'm gonna put it in the community tab. That's a good thing you brought up because we should be supporting her business. You see how we do? You see how we do? Shout out to Darlene. Appreciate that. Shout out to Darlene. Yeah, I'm gonna put it in the community tab because she's good. She is good. She is good. She makes some really good stuff. She's really good. All right. Also, first shout out to the super chat. Let me play the super chat sound. I'm doing things for the little sounds. I like the little sounds now that they have. Shout out to the super chats. And then we also have a couple of cash apps. We have one from Lim. Oh boy, hold on. There's a couple of them. Hold on. Come on now. Where is that at? We got one from TB and B1 from Shin C. So thank you very much. Thank you very much for that. And then we got one from Lim. Thank you very much for that. I appreciate y'all. Thank you very much. I appreciate the cash apps as well too. I appreciate all of y'all support. I appreciate all of y'all likes very much. So I mean, we can go through the whole thing with Steven, but I think we played enough. He's down bad because he's used to debating children. And the second he gets in a room that are full of grown men, he loses. He loses terribly, which is why he keeps changing the conversation and changing the argument. I mean, Myron, he first off, he doesn't even do that well, but Myron has to go and debate children. Children. He's not that good. He's not that smart. Myron's not no smart man like that. Family, before you guys go, I need y'all to hit that like button. Please do it. Please hit that like button and hit that subscribe button and hit the notification bell. I would greatly appreciate every single last one of you guys for doing that. I would greatly appreciate that. Thank you very much. Oh, when I put the sisters thing in the super chat, if y'all order something, let her know I sent y'all. Okay, let her know Afro Elite says shout out to your business. Let her know that. I appreciate y'all, family. Thank you guys very much for being here. I will catch you guys tomorrow for our Thursday night live stream. So see you guys then. With that being said, good night to every single last one of you all, and you all stay blessed.